Today's video is brought to you by Virtually Bossy. If you are looking for a work-from-home job, you've come to the right place. Virtually Bossy is currently hiring customer service agents to service some of our biggest clients. Maybe you're looking to relocate, or maybe you just need a job. Click the link below and fill out the application to receive all the information you need to get started. We look forward to hearing from you. Now back to your regular scheduled program with Behind These Lips. Enjoy.
When people ask me why I left the U.S., part 1. For those of you new here, I lived in Mexico for 3 years and I currently live in Thailand. So number one reason I left the U.S., I left the U.S. during the pandemic, summertime of the pandemic 2020. So of course there was a number of reasons to leave at that moment, right? If you remember, there was a lot going on. So between the Black Lives Matter protest and all of the shootings of unarmed Black people, the election was stressful. I mean, they were texting my phone 50 times a day about voting, okay? And of course, the pandemic itself was also stressful. The news, all the people dying. There was just a lot going on in the U.S. at that time. And it didn't really seem like anybody knew when it was going to let up. So just trying to avoid depression, which I felt like a lot of people probably did slip into during the pandemic. That was one of the reasons why I just wanted to escape the daily hustle, bustle, conversation, and everything that was kind of like going on and being just pushed into your face constantly. Like it wasn't a good time, if you can recall. So another reason was because the scenery was better. I mean, the pandemic was worldwide, of course, so you couldn't just escape the pandemic. But I just felt like if I was going to be locked up somewhere, I'd rather be locked up, like looking at the ocean, listening to the waves, and just enjoying the beauty. So the scenery was just better. I mean, I figured if it was the end of the world and the bitch was gonna die, might as well die happy. Another reason, obvious reason, was the cost of living. Again, I chose to move to Mexico so of course the cost of living is a bit cheaper. Now, I did move to one of the most beautiful islands in Mexico, and probably one of the more expensive places to live in Mexico. So we saved some money. We didn't save that much money, but again, that didn't matter because we just got so much more. Which leads me to my other reason, which is the quality of life. So basically, like, what you're gonna get for your money is gonna be so much more. Of course, they want to come over here and work on some shit while I'm trying to do this. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So again, the quality of life is just better. So although you're made to spend the same amount of money that you find yourself spending in the U.S., you're just going to get so much more bang for your buck. Which brings me to another point, which is your overall cost of living. I feel like the question, how much does it cost to live here or there, is always a very hard question to answer. And the reason why is because I feel like it really just depends on your lifestyle, depends on what it is that you require, right? So if you require like a gate and security and someone to deliver your food to you and a washer and dryer in your apartment or your condo or your home. If you require, your dishwasher and just like all of the typical amenities that you're used to having back home. When I say back home, I'm talking about like in the States, things that kind of come standard, garbage disposal and, a lot of the little things, then your cost of living clearly is going to be a little higher. But can you live really cheap in Mexico? Absolutely. Can you live cheaper in Thailand? Yes, Thailand is even cheaper than Mexico. Another obvious thing I think is like the food, right? Like the quality of food in the United States sucks. And the food that doesn't suck, you have to pay a whole lot of money to afford it, right? Whole Foods is just not a cheap store. It's just not. You pay for what you get, of course, but you really shouldn't have to pay that much to not eat food that's going to kill you. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think it's kind of, I understand our system. I understand the FDA, the food and the drugs kind of go together. So they support each other. And that's why it is the way it is. But that doesn't mean I have to continue to consume it, and neither do you really. Safety is another reason, and I know everybody is like, oh my God, Mexico was the one safe, the cartel, and all of those things. But it's safer than College Park. It's safer than most cities in Atlanta. Shit, Buckhead isn't even safe anymore, and that's where I lived before moving, was Atlanta. So yes, even Mexico was much safer. Now, I'm not saying go move to Juarez or any of the other dangerous cities in Mexico. I don't know if you realize, but most of the really dangerous cities in Mexico, lie on the United States border. Ever wonder why that is? Okay, so yeah, much safer. I'm never scared when I see the Mexico or Mexican police, or even the Thai police for that matter. I don't have this nervous anxiety, heart beating fast, not knowing what's going to happen type of thing, that we as people of color, Black people specifically, tend to experience in the United States. So I don't have those feelings. Like, I automatically feel better. And don't get me wrong, the Mexico police look pretty freaking scary. Like, they look scary, and I'm still not scared. And still have never, in 3 years of living there, I've not had a bad experience with the military. Well, there was a Navy base where I lived, but not with the military police or just the regular police. Never had any issues with them. So, like I mentioned before, I moved to a very beautiful island in Mexico. I miss my little island. And I'm a beach mom. So, me living on a beautiful island was ideal. It still is really ideal for me. Like, water everywhere, gorgeous. Like, every day was you were on vacation. That's how it felt. Thailand is cool, but it doesn't necessarily have every day you're on vacation vibe, I would say. Being away from the daily hustle and bustle and grind of the U.S. also gave me time to focus on my businesses and the things that I really wanted to do. So I was really able to pour into all of the different business ideas and things that I wanted to do. Getting this residual income down, things like that. Like, those were the things I really, really wanted to focus on. And I don't know, your head just being so clouded with everything that was going on and happening in the States, and just the day-to-day in the States, it's just a lot. Like, let's be real, it's a lot. And so just being away and having peace, like really having peace, maybe for the first time in a very long time, was very helpful to my mental health. So last but not least, to build a closer relationship with my man. As you know, like, sometimes you can really get caught up in the outside world and outside opinions, and even sometimes just the stresses of the world itself, things that brings into a relationship. Sometimes it's people, and sometimes it's just your overall environment that is just not healthy, or it's just not conducive for a healthy relationship, right? So, having that time to spend time with somebody with no distractions, and I would say, like, getting to know each other better, and having conversations that maybe you should have had previously that you haven't had before. I think all those things really matter. So those are all of my personal reasons for leaving the U.S. If you are also thinking about relocating and leaving the States, or really leaving whatever country it is that you live in, I have something for you. If I did create a relocation journal for you guys to make moving out of the country for you a little bit easier. I know a lot of people are trying to escape at this point. That's what it feels like. So if you click the link in my bio, you can get it off Amazon. That's where it's being sold. They have it in a couple days. So the journal is really amazing. I really took my time and made you guys a really comprehensive journal specifically for moving out of the country. So there's spaces in there to basically do all of the research that you would need to do for for the countries that you want to look into. I think you should narrow it down. So 3 to 4 countries that you're maybe considering. So there's places there for you to track everything, whether it's your savings, your spending. There's even a part of the journal. There's an intentions journal in there for you as well, kind of as a bonus. So I do think it's very important to know why you're leaving and set your intentions and so that it can manifest, right? So there's a daily journal in there for you. It has a lot of resources in there for, let's say, if you're a parent and you're looking to also move in, with your entire family. There's a lot of great resources in there for you, for the kids. Just things that you definitely would need when you get to another country like the U.S. and wanting to kind of keep your kids on track. So don't take my word for it. Just click the link in the bio. And yeah, let me know what you think. Be sure to like and subscribe.